Russia Putin News Blinken predicts the end of the old world order due to the United States' rising competition with Russia and China. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken told an audience at the Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies that the rising geopolitical competition between the U.S. and Russia and China signals the end of the post-Cold War world order. What we are going through right now is more than just a challenge to the post-Cold War order. As he put it, that's the final chapter. As a result, decades of relative geopolitical stability have given way to an intensifying competition with authoritarian powers, revisionist powers. The Russian military operation in Ukraine, according to the Secretary of State, is the most immediate, the most acute threat to the international order. While this is happening, he said, the People's Republic of China poses the most significant long-term challenge, because it not only aspires to reshape the international order, but it increasingly has the economic, the diplomatic, the military, the technological power to do just that. By cooperating, Beijing and Moscow are working together to make the world safer for autocracies, Blinken claimed. Blinken argued that this transitional period marks the end of one era and the beginning of the next. He believes the future will be shaped for decades by the choice that is made now. After a tsunami-like flood killed nearly 4,000 people and left thousands more missing in Libya, international efforts to aid the country picked up speed on Thursday. Ships and military transport planes from the Middle East and Europe have been delivering much-needed humanitarian aid to the war-ravaged North African country. Derna, a city on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, was hit by a massive flash flood on Sunday, leaving hundreds missing and displacing tens of thousands more. After two upstream dams burst due to the heavy rains brought by Storm Daniel, onlookers likened the scene to a tsunami. The oncoming wave tore buildings, cars, and the people inside them to pieces. Many were swept into the water, and their bodies were later found on beaches that had been strewn with wrecked vehicles and other debris. It was the second major disaster to strike North Africa in as many days, following an earthquake of similar magnitude that took nearly 3,000 lives in Morocco last Friday. The UN has promised $10 million to help those still alive in Libya, including the 30,000 people in Derna who have been displaced. That's roughly a third of what the city in eastern Libya had before the disaster. Volunteers providing aid will be tested to the limit. International Organization for Migration stated that, obstructed, destroyed, and flooded roads severely undermine access to humanitarian actors, and that there were widespread power outages and communications disruptions. The IOM reported that bridges across the river Derna, which once connected the city's eastern and western halves, had been destroyed. The United Kingdom has pledged up to £1 million, $1.25 million, in an initial package of aid. London has stated that it is collaborating with trusted partners on the ground to determine which basic needs, such as shelter, healthcare, and sanitation, are the most pressing. State media in Egypt reported that Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi had ordered the establishment of shelter camps for victims of the Libyan disaster. In addition to a field hospital and roughly 40 rescue workers, France was also sending tons of medical supplies. Turkey was among the first countries to respond, and on Wednesday night, the country announced that it would be sending 2 field hospitals and other supplies by ship. On Thursday, a ship from the Italian Navy was expected to be supplying logistical and medical aid to the Libyan coast. Landmines. The EU reported that aid had been sent from Germany, Romania, and Finland. United Arab Emirates has sent 2 planes with 150 tons of aid, while Algeria, Qatar, and Tunisia have all offered assistance. On Wednesday, a Kuwaiti flight took off with another 40 tons of supplies. The Jordanian government dispatched a military plane carrying food packages, tents, blankets, and mattresses after learning that a rescue mission had departed from Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. In 2011, NATO-supported rebels toppled and killed longtime dictator Muammar Gaddafi, and the oil-rich country of Libya has only just begun to recover from the war and chaos that ensued. There are now two competing governments in the country: the UN-brokered, internationally recognized administration in Tripoli, and a rival administration in the disaster-stricken east. As of Wednesday afternoon, the confirmed death toll had risen to 3,840, according to Lieutenant Tariq al-Kharaz, a spokesman for the Interior Ministry of the Eastern-based government. According to AFP, Kharaz said that 2,400 people were still missing in addition to the 3,190 people who had already been buried. Most of the foreign victims were from Sudan and Egypt. Officials are reportedly stating higher tolls in some media reports. Earlier, Tamer Ramadan of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies stated, "The number of missing people is hitting 10,000 persons so far." The International Committee of the Red Cross's head of the Weapon Contamination Unit, Eric Tollefson, has issued a warning about the dangers posed by landmines that were planted during the war but have been relocated by floodwaters to areas that were previously safe. Experts in climate change have concluded that years of political instability and inadequate investment in infrastructure in Libya contributed to the country's current predicament.